Okay. I have my tea. If anybody's curious, this is spearmint and licorice root tea. Cheers. Oh, that's hot. I'm coming to you guys barefaced and with a different type of video because I've actually been struggling with acne for a while now. It's been a long time, but here in this recent kind of bout with acne, it's been since September, and it was bad, y'all. It was so bad, and I was starting to get kind of that really bad inflammation and scarring and acne bumps kind of all over my face, and I knew at that point I needed to kind of go a different route and try a dermatologist and see how that could affect and kind of help my skin. So I have been on antibiotics for the past 6 weeks, and I wanted to share my experience. Taking oral antibiotics can really mess up your gut, and that's just something that you should not be taking all willy-nilly. So I had that in the back of my mind, and as the doctor was prescribing it, I'm thinking like, I don't really want to take this, and I brought up my concerns with him. He mentioned that if you're taking oral antibiotics for acne, it's really just, excuse me, it's really just to decrease the inflammation in your skin. And in addition, it shouldn't, if you're not taking it for a it's not used for long-term use. So if you're not taking it for that long and you have a low dosage, it shouldn't impact your gut health. Week 1, I experienced stomach growling, a lot of nausea, and I learned in that week that I needed to take the medicine at night. Because I was previously taking it in the mornings, and I would wake up, I would take the medicine, and my whole day was kind of off balance because I was experiencing this nausea and just, I don't know, it was just weird. Like I have a very sensitive stomach. Like your girl, she is bougie, okay? She doesn't like most things, which is totally fine, but that was kind of what I was experiencing week 1, and then I'll show you guys videos of how my skin actually looked from start to how it is now. So week 2 is actually when my skin surprisingly started to purge. I started to notice more acne bumps kind of showing up in very random places. Like I was having acne kind of on my ear over here. It was kind of weird, but I guess it was just trying to purge everything and get it all out and stuff like that. I learned during that week that I needed to have crackers on standby because, again, I was still struggling with the nausea. Like it was pretty annoying. I don't want to say it was bad. It was just annoying. I made sure to incorporate a couple of things. The first thing is if there was kind of a break between me having dinner and then me going to bed, because I would take the medicine during at night, right before I was going to go to bed, I made sure to have crackers so then I could at least make sure that I'm taking the medicine on a full stomach. I should have read up on this to see if you need to do this. My doctor didn't tell me that I needed to take it at a specific time of the day. It was just something that worked for me. So once I did that, it did help with the nausea, but I was still pretty nauseous taking it. So I was very cautious about that. Another thing too is I incorporated a probiotic. That was a big thing. And I had already been taking a probiotic. Actually, you know what? Let me get it. Hold please. I had been already taking a probiotic. This is the Phendophilus. I'm actually not too sure how to pronounce it, but it's really for vaginal and urinary tract health. Because another thing is when your gut is off balance, for me at least in my experience, that can cause yeast infections, which is why I was always so anti-antibiotics. I did end up boosting my probiotic. Instead of taking 1, I took 2 probiotics a day. So that was also something that I did that I do think ultimately kind of helped me. So let's talk about week 3. I feel like week 3 is really when you started to see it working a little bit. Like I was starting to see less bumps. I was still essentially having the same symptoms, still having the nausea. I was still making sure that I was taking my medicine at night. I was still taking my probiotics, kind of all those things. So still like dealing with it, but knowing that I'm seeing progress. So to me, you know, I'm kind of weighing the pros and cons, and for me, it was kind of worth it. What I really started to notice is really focusing on health and what the foods that I'm eating, and making sure that I'm eating whole foods to kind of support me on this medicine. So that meant I'm typically not a breakfast eater. Like I don't really eat breakfast. I don't have time. I'm always rushing in the mornings. So I started to kind of really incorporate having green smoothies in the morning, and also doing chia seeds became a turning point where I was seeing the results, and I wanted to make sure that I was coupling my health in addition to all the clearness that was happening on my face. Okay, yeah, week 4 I did mention that I had headaches, but also one thing that was interesting is typically when I ovulate, up until the time that I'm ovulating until the end of my period, I start experiencing PMS symptoms. And those PMS symptoms can be bloating, it can be nausea, it can be headaches, it can be fatigue. So I kind of feel like a couple of those symptoms that I wrote down were probably PMS, and less specifically to this drug, because there were new things that were starting to happen. The only new-ish thing is not really feeling like I was getting full. And that probably was because I wasn't eating enough. Since I switched my diet to like not snacking and really having kind of healthier, wholesome meals, I probably wasn't eating enough as like, you know, from when I was eating and like was snacking. So that was one thing that I kind of mentioned. Okay, so now I'll kind of couple week 5 and week 6, because the symptoms are pretty much the same. It's just kind of this progression of seeing my skin get better and get to the place that it is right now. So week 5 and 6 is kind of when I was like about to start my period / be on my period. And what was interesting is I saw a couple, like I think 2 or 3 new pimples being on my period, which was such a relief, because I would always see like 10, you know, new like very cystic pimples kind of be on my face. Right now, what I am experiencing is I still have like over here, like this stubborn acne. One thing is, and it might be hard to tell through video, but when I tell you my skin was so inflamed that my face looked swollen. Like to me, my face looked bigger. And by week 5 and 6, my face was starting to really like slim down, which was huge progress for me. And I was just so thankful and grateful to, you know, be on this medication and to finally kind of just be able to breathe a little bit more. Still struggling with kind of the chin acne and kind of bumps, active bumps over here. Every time that I still take the medicine, I do still get nauseous, but I at least know that probiotics are key. Making sure that you're like taking the medicine on a full stomach is super key for me, at least. And also making sure that like you have kind of your very wholesome type foods. So I do want to get a little bit more into detail about what I was eating each day, and I can definitely film a video about that. But I hope at least this is a little helpful so you can kind of see my experience being on antibiotics. And I know this is really just the start of my journey, because I don't want to be on this long term. I'm really hoping that I only have to be on this for the next 2 weeks, and then I can be done with this. But we shall see. My doctor will be able to tell me more, so I will kind of heed to whatever he recommends. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative, and if you guys are going through acne, you are not alone. We are all going through this journey together. So best of luck. Stay healthy. Bye.